story that I wanted to tell has to do a little bit with epilepsy, so I'm going to tell it. And in 1954, my dad got a job in NIH, National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, doing research on epilepsy. And he was totally excited because it was like a dream come true for a scientist. But the problem was that he was broke, and he didn't have enough money to bring him, my mom, and my two older brothers to the States to take advantage of this opportunity. So he accepted, but it was a very stressful couple of months trying to figure out how to get this thing done, and they failed. They couldn't get the money together to get this thing done. And in a moment of panic, my mother decided that the little money that they had been able to put together by staying at a friend's house and not paying rent and taking the kids out of kindergarten and stuff, she took the money and she bet it on the horses. And they never went to a track or never bet on horses or anything. And she went there and she found out, how can I make the most amount of money? And they said, well, there was a thing called the 5 and 6. So you got to pick, out of 6 races, you got to pick 5 winning horses in consecutive races. And against all odds, they won. And they won a shitload of money. So, because they can't win that. So they left the country in style. They even booked a couple weeks of vacation in Miami. And my dad always used to say, we stayed in a nice hotel. And my mom would say, well, as nice of a hotel as you can stay in 1956 with a black man and a Hispanic woman and your 2 brothers, Luis, my older who looks like me, and Carlos, who is as dark as black can get. So the quality of the hotel is in doubt. But they had fun. And apparently that night the money was decidedly my mom's because she picked the horses and took the risk. So she flirted with my dad and found herself with like a wad of money and said, ask me for anything you want and I'll give it to you. And my dad asked her for an Encyclopedia Britannica because he was a man of science. So they went to Sears, Robert Brooks somewhere in Miami, and they bought the Encyclopedia Britannica, all 30 volumes. Each book is like this big, they're purple, they're binding in leather, they have like golden letters on it. And everything is in it. It's like the web, it's like the whole internet. It's there. And if you hold on to it for long enough, it becomes obsolete, and then it's updated again, like Russia and the old countries become the old countries again. It's great. So they logged in the kids and all Encyclopedia Britannica and the few suitcases that they had, and they went to Maryland. My dad did his thing over there for like 4 years. My brother and he was born in Washington. Then he got a job in Chicago, close to Chicago, in a little town called Galesburg, Illinois, where my sister was born. And I never figured it out until recently. I used to call it Baseball, Illinois. And then Kennedy was killed in '63. The country went in disarray. There was no grants for people from other countries, and they had to leave the country, and they went back to Colombia. So they hauled in the kids and the Encyclopedia Britannica. And they went back to Colombia. They got there 3 more years later, '67, I was born. And then nothing else happened. I just grew up in this house that they bought, and I was there until I was 23 years old. Me, my mom, my dad, my 3 brothers and my sister, and the Encyclopedia Britannica. And my dad venerated this thing, and he was like, you're gonna have to, and I was like, well, I'll read it. And he was like, well, it's in another language. You're gonna have to learn another language to be able to read this book. And it was like quite a challenge. I remember figuring out the first time that I saw the A to B, C to D, E to F thing, and being like, A, B, C, D, E, F. It's coming. I might be able to look into this thing in action. And I love that thing, and every homework assignment that I had to do with Encyclopedia Britannica. And that was my education. It was like my father gave me an education. And then I got an opportunity to come to the States, and it's like, it's crazy because look at all your things, and I can just say, I'm not going to bring all this crap. What am I going to do? I'm just going to bring a leather jacket, a hat, 2 pairs of jeans, underpants, money, and the Encyclopedia Britannica. So I brought the freaking thing. All 30 volumes. And dug into Philadelphia, went to college. Every freaking paper that I wrote was like, and then moved, because here in the States, people don't live in one place, they just move. Because rent goes up and gentrification, and then you have to pack the freaking fucking thing. And I lived like in 57 different apartments in Philadelphia. And then I got married, and then we moved up to this little apartment on 7th and Pine, and we finally got our little place together. We hung on the last little picture, and we found a shelf for the Encyclopedia Britannica. And the landlord showed up, and he said, "Oh, we're not going to renew your contract, and you're going to have to move again." And I was just like looking at this thing, making a decision of like, I'm going to have to let go of this thing. That was the last piece of being from another country that I had with me, and it had nothing to do with my country. It was the Encyclopedia Britannica. I think the only thing that is not in the Encyclopedia Britannica is Colombia. So I got a big roll of saran wrap, and I wrapped the whole thing, all 30 volumes of it. Comes up to this height, and like 3 like yearbooks, because they used to print the yearbooks, 63 to 67, no 64, and then I wrapped the whole thing, and I opened up the window on the 4th floor of the 7th apartment. And I threw it out. I was like, this is it. I'm not logging this fucking shit anymore. Whatever is in here, I'll take with me. I threw it out, and it made the most amazing sound that I've ever heard in my life. It was the sound of knowledge, and the sound of like separation, and the sound of growth. And as I get older, it has also become the sound of regret.